Hey everyone, it is Crazy Canuck here, bringing you another Witch Doctor guide for Season 7, Patch 2.4.2 in Diablo 3. In this video, we're going to be going over the Jade Witch Doctor build, which is an excellent rift farming build you can run, especially if you are getting sick of running Helltooth. This farming build you can use from T10 all the way up to Torment 13. All depends on the gear you have, your survivability, and whether or not you get pissed if you do get one-shotted. It is a glass cannon build. You do a ton of damage, but if you're not careful, you can get one-shotted, and if you are not on the ball, it is you have to pay attention while you're playing this build. But it is a lot of fun. You do a lot of damage, and the way that I run it, you get a ton of gold, and that gold is great for when you're pushing your legendary gems, when you're doing those higher grade rift 70s, 80s into the 90s, and you want to push those gems up. The gold that you get while running this build will allow you to get that extra roll over and over again in those higher builds. So let's get into the build. It is your typical Jade build that we've been running every other season. The same skills. You can switch things in and out to your play style, but here's what I'm currently running. I'm running Haunt Resentful Spirits, which does give me the 2 spirits per cast. You do not need to run this if you're running the other belts. I'm not. I'm running Gold Wrap. You can run Poison Spirits to give a little bit extra damage, which does help out, but I'm running that one with the build that I have. Horrify Stalker is more for survivability and movement speed. So if you're running around the map, you can hit Horrify, give you that extra little boost while your Spirit Walk is down. Or if you're into a group and you might get shot, you can hit Horrify. That way it gives you a couple of seconds to get out while they don't hit you. You can switch it up to Frightening Aspect for a little bit more armor, but with this build, you don't really need the extra armor, but it is good to have the movement speed to get around and to get out of little troubled areas. I'm running Locust Swarm with Cloud of Insects, so it's a little bit less damage coming onto me. You can switch it up for Devouring Swarm to get a little bit of mana back, and if you're not running anything that gives you Pestilence, you definitely want to run Pestilence first. But because I'm running Wormwood in the cube with the Hive on me, it has Pestilence on it. It's passively pushing out Locust Swarm, so I don't really have to cast it. So having Cloud of Insects does reduce the damage that everyone is putting out onto me, which is good, especially when running in T13. Piranhas, Piranha-nado, obviously we use that to group everything up. I don't really switch it around. It's the go-to that we run with Piranhas. Spirit Walk, I'm running with, what is this? Severance? Whatever. It is the movement speed rune that allows you to move through the maps quicker. You can use Jaunt or Honor Guest. Honor Guest if you have mana problems. Jaunt if you just want to stay in Spirit Walk a little bit longer, but I like getting through and around the maps quicker. Plus with the runes that we're using, the passives as well, you're going to have Spirit Walk up quite a bit to be able to keep popping it over and over again and just running around like a madman. And the last one, the Soul Harvest, I'm using Languish just for the extra armor. You can switch it up if you want to. You can use Siphon if you're having a little bit of issues. Vengeful Spirit to get a little bit more damage off on them. But because it's such a bursty build, having the extra armor really does help. Again, especially if you're running in Torment 13, you want that extra survivability. For passives, we're using Gruesome Feast for the damage buff. Creeping Death, which is a bread and butter when you're running any kind of a build with Locust Swarm and Haunt. It keeps those debuffs on everything that you're attacking. Grave Injustice, mainly for the cooldown when an enemy dies. If you are running into a big group and they blow up, you're immediately going to have your cooldowns back up, so you can immediately pop your Piranha-nados, and you can pop your Spirit Walk to make sure that you're not dying. And when you're running the higher ones, Torment 13, you're going to want to run Spirit Vessel. That way you're not, if something does one-shot you when you're not paying attention or just off-screen or you run into something by accident, it gives you that little bit extra so you don't die right off the bat. You can switch this up to other things that might help you. I've seen a lot of people also running Jungle Fortitude. To each their own. I like having this. That way if I do get one-shotted, I'm not dead. I have that second chance to not screw up. And it also will wake you up, especially if you're like not paying attention, you die. It's like, oh crap, I need to pay attention now. You don't have that little buffer. The gear that we're running is your typical Jade set. We are running the full 6-piece Jade. We've got the head, the shoulders, the glove, the chest, the legs, and the feet all in Jade. You want to get crit hit chance, crit hit damage. Haunt on any piece of gear that you can get. So I think the chest and the shoulders you can get Haunt on. So you want to try and get 15 on both of those if possible. The gloves, intellect, crit hit chance, crit hit damage, cooldown reduction. I've seen some people also run area damage, but the cooldown reduction for me just helps, especially when you don't have stuff that you're killing. If you're running around, having that extra little cooldown does help. Other set pieces that we are running is the Traveler's Pledge and the Compass Rose. Again, when you're moving, you take 50% less damage, and if you're standing still, you can deal a lot more damage. We're going for the int, crit, and crit hit chance. On the neck and the ring would be nice. You want definitely a socket in all of your jewelry. For the rings, you can switch your rings up a little bit. I'm running the Ring of Emptiness. You can also put this one in your cube if you don't have a good roll. The other ring that we're also using that is in the cube is the Avarice Band, which does the pickup of the gold. When you're using the Boon of the Hoarder and the gold wrap, which we're using for our waist, the idea with this build is the Boon of the Hoarder pops out a ton of gold when you kill it. So I've got my gem max, so every time something dies, it is going to pop out gold. The gold wrap, every time you pick up stuff, it gives you extra armor, which makes you extra tanky. So when you're running this build, you really want to have a bunch of stuff grouped up, killing a bunch of stuff, getting all that gold, which will skyrocket your toughness to the point where you can stand in just about anything. The downfall of this one is when you're running the Rift Guardians. When there's only the Rift Guardian there, you really have to be careful with your positioning. As you'll see in the video in the bottom corner, when I get the Rift Guardian, I'm running around the middle trying not to die. I'm pretty sure that's the video that's there. I'm running Nemesis Bracers just for the extra elite group that spawns whenever you click on a pylon. I should re-roll out fire for cold damage, but I'm not sure what I'm doing with these braces. I'm pretty sure I might have another good pair on my other character. I just threw these on really quickly. The weapons that we're using currently with this build is the Ingeome for the reduced cooldown reduction after you kill an elite pack, and the Vile Hive, which does give your Locust Swarm the Pestilence rune and deals increased damage. In our queue, we are running Wormwood. That way I do not have to cast Pestilence. I can worry about everything else. I don't have to cast the Pestilence at all. It passively does it. We're running the Quetzalcoatl, which does the damage quicker. You need this. It is bread and butter. It is a must for this build to run in the cube. And the jewelry, we're running the Avarice Band. Now there are different builds, versions of this that you can do. Another one would be wearing the Sacred Harvester with the Lacumba's ornament, and that will give you a little bit more survivability, a little bit more armor. But usually when you run this one, you are going to take off the gold wrap and you are going to put on the Haunting Girdle, and you are going to switch your Haunt to Poison Spirit, so your Haunt does a little bit of extra damage. It is just another variation of this build that does work really well. Depending on the gear that you do have, you can swap them in and out and try them. I personally like the gold wrap because I do find that running in Torment 13, I do get a lot of gold, so my toughness goes through the roof and I can stand and stuff. Not so much with the other build. But if I am running Torment 10, I will switch it up the other way. That way I'm just doing more damage. Because in Torment 10 or Torment 11, I am very less likely to die. With this build, I am also running the Templar with Intervene, Loyalty, Charge, and Guardian. We do have the Broken Promises. You can throw on any rings you really want to for this. I really need to switch over the S of Jordan into this one. That way he has that pull that he just pulls everything on top of him, which gets things off of you, and having them nice and grouped also really helps for when you're doing your Devour. And this weapon is great when you're running Rift Guardians, just to freeze them near the end. Because at the end with Rift Guardians, if they're frozen, you can get in, you could do more haunts, get your haunt, get your pestilence, and do your damage quicker without worrying about taking damage. Also, one other thing you can switch up in this as well, you can take off Wormwood and use the Furnace in your cube. You'll do more damage to elites, and you will kill Rift Guardians a lot quicker. The only difference with that is you have to passively make sure you cast your Locust Swarm per attack to help proc your Ring of Emptiness, because when they have Haunt and Locust Swarm, you're doing up to 300% more damage. So I hope you guys like the guide. Give it a thumbs up. Give it a like if you enjoyed this one. Feel free to subscribe if you want to. You can also catch me up on Twitch. It's twitchtv.crazycanuck. So feel free, .crazycanuck, twitchtv.tv/crazycanuck. I think that's it. Anyways, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Have a good day, and we will see you running through hell. Take her easy.